Hello everyone, welcome back to SBR Pythons. Today we're going to do a video talking about racking systems and substrates. First of all, I want to touch on the new series that I've done. I'm really getting good feedback on it, which I really appreciate. And yeah, thank you for tuning into it and continuing to watch the channel and support me. But I use LP racks, as you can see behind me. I absolutely love my LP racks. I've currently got two LP3 V70 10 tier, and then you can't see it in the shop, but I've also got my LP3 V18 22 tub. For me, LP is fantastic. I know that lots of people do use different rackings, so there's ARS, LP, JVK, you know, there's all these different brands, but for me, LP is the one that I've gone with because I'm really satisfied with it. I got one rack to try and sort of fell in love with the brand, with the company, and sort of I've stuck with it ever since. You know, I do have plans to sort of expand up in my LP racks and sort of maximise the space that I have. But for now, I'm going to show you around what I've got and show you really the tub sizes that I use here at SBR Pythons, because I've done a recent sort of upgrade session and some of my females have moved into their own tubs now, which is fantastic. And yeah, just a general little look around the tub sizes that I'm using. So as you can see, my big females and also sort of females, once they get to about 700 or 800 grams, go into a V70 of their own, which is obviously this tub here. And I've got a hide in it, but you don't necessarily have to have a hide. But I really like these tubs because they give the females plenty of room to move around. I mean, I'll show you one of my bigger females even in it. So for example, like this black pastel hep hide, who's bowl wrapping currently, she's around 2 kilos and sort of fully spread out, you know, she's still got plenty of room. It's easily her body size twice. Sort of girth wise, you could get like 2 of them in here, which is just fantastic because it gives her the room to move about. You know, eventually it gives her room to lay a clutch of eggs. There's room in there for pairing, and so in general I just like the size that you get with the Vision tubs, and in this case the V70 tubs. Regarding my males, I don't have the space right now, although I do have plans to get a V35 rack eventually. I don't have space for one right now, so what I do is I get dividers and divide a V70 down into 2 for my males, which I'll show you now, which is another recent upgrade. So in this one I've got 2 males. The V70 tubs can get a little bit stiff with the dividers, that's the only problem. But you can see, so this is a V70 tub which has been broken down into 2 from the divider, and in this side I've got 1 male and the other side I've got 1 male. And it works perfectly, to be fair. Feeding time, you know, they both get a little bit riley because they can smell each other's food when they're feeding. But that's fine as long as, you know, I steam up the 2 rats at the same time to make sure that I've got one ready for the next male straight away. But you can see, you know, the dividers do get a little bit stiff, but it's not the end of the world. And for now, it is a temporary fix. I'll just get a V18 tub so you can see what I'm going to be keeping my hatchlings in, and what I have been keeping hatchlings in until they are big enough to go into a divided V70. So here I've got a V18 tub. In here I've got the Enchi Orange Dream, 100% het ultra male, 50% het for pied, as you can see with that paradox spot. It does need a little bit of a clean, but that's alright. But I love these tubs for my hatchlings. You know, they do straight from, I would imagine straight from hatch, from what I've been told. And I can imagine that, you know, a little 50 gram hatchling would be fine in here. All the way up to sort of, you know, I know some people keep them up here in these tubs, until they get quite large, sort of near a kilo. Personally, I like to move them out at about 500 grams into a divided V70, and then obviously from there a V70 in itself. But yeah, I really love the Vision tubs and I love the LP racks. I probably will end up looking at getting into the Herp Exotics racks eventually. I'm thinking just a 5-tier 33 litre to put up sort of my nans or somewhere else in the house as a quarantine rack. And I really like how Simon at Herp Exotics has set up that rack. So that's probably the one I'll go with, and it's really fairly priced, to be honest. So, you know, big thumbs up for that one, Simon. But the other racks companies, as I say, I've got nothing to say bad against them. I've just got no experience with them. You know, I know Paul Milner's just done a Facebook post about JVK, and they look phenomenal. And then I know that Gavin at Balls to Use just done an ARS review, which again looks fantastic, to be fair. One thing I would advise in racking, I know some people use heat cable, but for me, heat mats is the way to go. Body heat, you know, straight onto the snake, sort of through the tub, it is definitely the way to go for me, just to make sure that I'm not having to worry about my temperatures. I just think it's more reliable, but you know, Anyway, I'm going to move on to substrates. You know, the three that I'm going to talk about today are paper, Lignocel and Reptichip. I've not got experience with Reptichip. I have got experience with Lignocel, although I don't use it now. As you can see, I've literally just ordered a whole fresh patch of paper, and I'll just talk about, you know, the three of them. So the first one I want to talk about is paper. Obviously, as I say, all of mine are on paper. I absolutely love paper. I've got an empty tub down the bottom here just to show you. So I get two sheets of paper in a V70, and that does absolutely perfect. The only sort of issue that I would say you have with paper is underneath it, once they get dirty or whatever, you know, it can leave paper stains, but I mean, as you can say, a little bit of water gets that out. But if you're one for sort of, you know, having any stains that you've got to clean out after the tub's empty, then, you know, paper might not be for you. But I absolutely cannot recommend paper highly enough. For multiple reasons. You know, it does stay dry. I don't think you personally need to have high humidity at all times. I like to give my animals extra humidity when pairing and when in shed, because obviously that's when they definitely need the high humidity. But apart from that, I really don't see the point in having constant high humidity, because for me that's just a risk of RI. The other good thing about paper is obviously it's white. If you've got any mites, God forbid, you'll see them, because you'll see them, you know, walking around on either the snake or the paper or in the water bowl, which is fantastic. And also, it is easy enough to clean. I mean, yes, it can take a little bit more time than spot cleaning, you know, a Reptichip product or even Chip or something like that. However, I have the time, so I would rather keep them on the paper. And similarly with the hatchlings, I keep them on paper towels, as most do, to be fair. But the next one I'm going to move on to is Lignocel, so I'll just fill up one of my V70 tubs with Lignocel for you. So here we go. This is the Lignocel bed, and I'm sure you've seen it. And I've got the Fire Double Het Ultra Malpide female. You can see it's doing really well and sort of chunking it up now. It's brilliant. But this is the bedding. I do agree that snakes do look better on bedding. You know, they just look more visually appealing than on paper. But for me, this bedding, the one crucial reason that I don't use this bedding, well, actually there's two. One is, you know, it does get on rodents very easily, and so it can go into the snake system. You know, that doesn't bother me as such, because the system is designed to get rid of this stuff that's not supposed to be in it. However, the other reason is I wouldn't personally want to pair on this. And as I say, I know people, you know, do use Lignocel with success, but I have seen a case where a piece of this bedding, or multiple pieces of this bedding, have got intertwined into the vent of a male when the male was pairing with the female, and it's become all, you know, pus infected, and it just was not pretty whatsoever. So I just think it's you know, better to not risk that and just to keep them on paper. But as I say, you know, the bedding does the job. I don't know about humidity. You know, I used this for a corn snake when it was in a vivarium, so I can't talk about the humidity. But that's, you know, Lignocel, make of it what you will. You know, I will never say don't use it. The thing I would always advise with substrates and different things in this hobby is the best way of learning is just to try and get some experience with it. But yeah, so I just want to highlight this Fire Double Het. I mean, you can see she's recently had a tub upgrade as well to her own V70, and she's looking phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Some nice het pied markers, a weird funky belly pattern. I don't know if you can see it on the camera with the yellows coming through. But in general, just how yellow and vibrant that line of fire is from Dean Van Ommeren at Dean Reptiles. It's fantastic. So the final bedding I want to talk about is Reptichip, which is very hot on the market right now after being introduced into the UK via Urban Constrictors, Paul Milner. Very, you know, very good looking bedding. I must admit, visually it is very appealing, and I give you all the credit in the world for getting it into the UK. Paul sort of working with the company itself. And yeah, by the way, I've got this normal het pied out. Just look at how beautiful she is after a shed. You never can overestimate a normal. But Reptichip, as I say, is very visually appealing, and it does do wonders when it comes to humidity. And you know, I'm sure that the animals breed perfectly fine, and you know, they you know, eat well, and it does look a very good bedding. If I was to try anything else now, it would be Reptichip. But I'm just very happy on paper. As I said before, I can't see any reason to switch. But yeah, so I just thought I'd highlight Reptichip a little bit. Regarding the cost, it's not too bad, to be honest. Lignocel, I think, is about £18 for a couple of kilo bag. It's been a while since I bought it, so I can't really remember. I think it's £16 per Reptichip block. And then, I mean, I got 500 sheets of paper, which is all of that there. I got 500 sheets of paper for £14 on Amazon. which sort of go across the whole of the V70 tub. And you know, I put 2 in each tub, so that's 250 cleans on a V70 really. So you know, I can't really complain at the price. But to me, the money isn't, you know, it's just something else, isn't it? It's not a massive aspect. If we're going to get into the hobby, we've got to accept that there's going to be finances involved. And I don't know why people keep shying away from it. I certainly don't. And I mean, if you private message me, you know that you'll get honest from me. I don't try and hide nothing. But you know, again, look at this wonderful normal het pied. Back to a much happier topic anyway. So there we go. That was just a short video on racking and substrate, my opinions on them. One thing I did forget to mention, which is now sort of sprung into mind, is the honeycomb bedding that I know Tony Wilson uses, and you're really happy with it, Tony. And to be honest, I have thought about switching over to that because it looks much more visually appealing than paper, but does the same thing. But in terms of the cost, I was looking at, you know, triple the cost for the honeycomb bedding, and I really had to sit there and wonder, is it worth it just for a little bit, you know, visually better on an image? When, to be honest, the animals talk for themselves. I mean, look, this is just a single gene pastel. Yes, it's het clown. Yes, it's het pied. But the yellows on this animal are absolutely out of this world. You know, the greeny sort of yellow tinge down the back of this animal is unreal. But yeah, so I thought I would highlight those subjects for you today. And I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, you know, turn the notifications on, leave a comment. I want to thank Lou as well quickly in the pied project for the future pied comments. Lou, you highlighted that I needed to mention monsoon and confusion, and you're absolutely 100% correct on that. So thank you very much. That'll be coming up on the channel soon. But yeah, I'm rambling as I always do at the end of the videos. So have a fantastic day, guys, and I'll see you next week, because don't forget we're doing weekly uploads in December for Christmas. So I'll see you next week. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next one.